Hello, everyone. Welcome to this short version of Court of the Rings here on this Friday. In about an hour, we're going to be opening the new 64-bit Game Worlds, and so I need to be all hands on deck for that. I've got some actual work I need to do, like let you know that the worlds are open on social media and the Discord and everywhere else, the forums as well. It's been a week, has it not? It has been quite a week. So I thought really what I would just do today is spend about a half an hour and chat with you. We do have a little bit of news. I can talk a little bit about what we have going on next week, which, includes, like, say, the Spring Festival and what have you. And just kind of have a chill chat today before I bail so that we can actually open these game worlds and I can let you know that we have done so. So that's on the agenda today. It is amazing. I knew that because the timing of the show, we were going to have a lot of people in chat. But we're looking at about 340 on the Twitch side. And I attempted to stream into the Discord. And we got about 500 people or so in the Discord as well. So that's a lot of you. Gosh. Suppose I should be nervous. Here's the thing, though. We found out about this whole trying to stream this into the Discord. There's a limit. You can only have 330 people in your audience before it disables video. Because I guess it can't show that much video to that many people or whatever. And so we hit that. And so nobody on Discord can see this live stream. Normally not a problem, I don't think, because we don't have that many people watching. Live, anyway. We certainly do on the VODs, but oops. Well, so I guess we're learning in real time, are we not? That's what this whole week is about, is learning in real time. We clearly have a lot of work ahead of us related to character transfers. We're getting ready to open the 64-bit Game Worlds. Things should be good for that at 1 o'clock. At that point, people are going to be able to do, everyone, because it'll free access, be able to do all the name reservation they need to do. And we are going to have all purchasing of housing disabled. This is both classic and premium. Purchasing is going to be disabled until a later time. I don't know what that time is going to be because it's really going to depend on the work that's being done at this hour that we've been doing all week and will be continuing to do related to the speed of character transfer. We obviously knew we were going to have a lot of character transfers here this week as part of the 64-bit world's opening, but the demand was even greater than that. And the number of people transferring a large number of characters and houses was also very, very large at the same time, and essentially overwhelmed various parts of our transfer service. So we've been working in recent days to smooth those parts out, to get everything as optimized as it can be. And we brought the game worlds down this morning for a little bit more of that work. At some point here, I don't know if it's going to be in the next hour or the next couple of hours, but at some point here soon, we're going to reopen the transfer button. People will be able to transfer a whole bunch of characters. It's going to get flooded, right? Because we have thousands of you just ready to click. So there will certainly be more demand than availability for sure when we do this. However, we're going to open it up, shut it down, see what the results are of the work that we've been doing. And based on the outcome of those results, if we have an opportunity to further open up transfers, we will be. We will be opening up transfers here in the coming days for sure. We're going to make sure everyone gets their people here and their kinships and their houses and everything else. We're going to make sure of that. But for now, we already know that we have many, many people who already have transferred. Yes, there are way more of you that have not than have, but many that we have also had a ton, and I can't give numbers, I'm sorry, but we have had a ton of transfers already. They want to play. People who don't want to transfer, who weren't going to transfer anyway because they want to start fresh or whatever, want to play. And we're going to open up the game worlds here at 1 o'clock while continuing to work on these transfers. This will allow people who are in a position where it's like, well, I can't play till I get my names. That we want to make sure we can support that as much as we can, and also take some of that pressure off of the transfer queue as well. If the reason you're transferring is for, say, character name reservations, things like that, by opening up the game worlds and allowing you to do that much more easily by just logging in and creating a placeholder character, that should take some of the stress off the system here as well. But we have other things that we're doing. It's been a series of long nights for quite a few of us here, up to and including many of you who have been joining me in the Discord. Our Discord has been absolutely hopping. We are, gosh, was it yesterday we crossed 14,500 or something like that in terms of membership, and most of that doesn't appear to be bots. When I actually look at the metrics of, who sort of joined and had bot-like activity of just lurking or whatever, doing nothing stuff, it's not that many. So most people are joining who are actual peoples, and that's been awesome. It has been a busy week, however, in our Discord, has it not? The amount of chat, scrolling, and work that has had to be done on the part of the volunteer moderators here. Dramatically underpaid to the point of it being zero moderators here. Did a lot of work this week on behalf of the LoadShort community. So please do thank the moderators for the work that they've been doing this week. Obviously, tensions have been high. Anxiety has been high. Some of the stress level amongst the community has been high, and we've been trying to be, fairly lenient and that in the Discord too. But I will say it's also been really not that bad, honestly. I think, we recognize your frustration that you've been going through this week. It's been a tough week for us too. And we're doing the best we can to smooth everything out and make everything happen. And really, the Discord has been as much fun as it has been difficult. So I really do want to thank everyone in the community for making this pretty tricky couple of days here. Not an absolute terror to hang out in the Discord. As a matter of fact, it's been enjoyable for the most part. So thank you, and thank you to the mods who've been putting in overtime as well. And in case you haven't noticed, I haven't necessarily been getting a lot of sleep the last couple of days either. So I think I'm going to just go straight for the caffeine here today on camera, and maybe say tough if you don't like it. All right. Let me get to our chat room in Twitch first, and then I will take a look at Discord chat here in just a second. Yes, we recognize that the biggest outstanding issue with everything that we've been having to call audibles on and do this week remains kinship naming and kinship house securing, but naming in particular. And one of the things that Severlin, our executive producer, has said in the past 24 hours that I want to reiterate is that we will be doing some work to allow for kinship renames to, I don't know what the process is going to be because we don't know yet, but we're going to create a system where kinships can more easily rename themselves and get that out when we can here, presumably later this year. Because there are some issues with kinship renaming that work different than character name conflicts. You can't just get a free rename token. And at the moment, customer support has some challenges in being able to perhaps do the volume of renames that we would expect, right? So this is an active ongoing issue that we will be doing some work on. But that is probably the biggest outstanding issue for now. So my only real guidance to kinships, I guess, at this point, would be think long and hard about just maybe how much you actually have to worry about someone taking your name. I think for many people, you'll be totally fine. This is a dangerous thing to say, and a generalization as well. However, I would say in general, the anxiety and fears over name conflicts tend to be significantly higher than actual reported cases of it. That's not to say that there won't be name conflicts. There haven't been, and there won't be in the future. But that is to say, like, for example, one of the big fears when we started new forums for Lotro was an issue of name conflicts. And within that first week, we had registered hundreds of thousands of game accounts, literally hundreds of thousands of forum accounts. And out of that entire setup, we had I think we had three. I think we had three actual name conflicts, two of which we were able to substantiate, and one of which was too on the fence to really take action on. But that's out of hundreds of thousands of people trying to get their names in that. So I think, in general, with exceptions, of course, as a kinship, you'll probably be fine. If you really are like, yeah, that advice isn't acceptable. I understand. Okay. So another thing you could do is create a kinship name. And then when you get that rename, you'll have to wait until the point in the future that we're able to do what we just said we're going to work to do within the past 24 hours, which is to allow you to do a kinship rename. So that's where we are at this hour on that. I would imagine, yes, we will have transfers over the weekend. I mean, at the very least, transfers will be processing over the weekend. Well, I think from the player experience, obviously, you've had very brief periods where buttons have been appearing. But on the back end, there's been an absolute pipeline, at full capacity flowing through the system doing transfers. So when we do offer that availability, that queue fills up so tremendously that to date it has taken some period of time for all those transfers to actually get through and be successful or fail, depending on what happens, right? So, but to be successful in many cases. It's taken a long time, though, and the receipt of the email in particular, which is typically one of the ways that the end user knows that their transfer has been successful. You'll say, hey, you got this going, message, and then at the end you'll get an email in your email inbox saying your transfer has succeeded or failed, and that delivery has been exceptionally slow in this past week. In some cases, because that's how long it's been taking for the transfers for your transfer to happen, and in some cases, just due to the other aspects of messaging delivery, it's just been slow. Okay. So I could say there has really been very few times. I can't say there has been no times, because there have been times we had to do work on the transfer service. But for the most part, it's been operating at, 110% outflow from the moment we started transfers. It's just that the availability of that transfer button has been exceptionally limited. Grumpy Bird has a question about the future of Angmar and Mortar, their 64-bit 2, when they top off, hit the end of reach the current storyline. Will they be available to transfer to? The future of Angmar and Mortar is something that we'll determine once we're done with its existing purpose, which is to be this legendary world where we're unlocking content over time. When we reach parity, historically what we've done is move people off that world to other game worlds and then close the server. But there's no real reason we need to do that in the case of Angmar and Mordor. So we could, I think, depending on the state of the population and what you want us to do at the time and all that. But we also don't have to. We could do one of a number of things. It is, currently a VIP world through being legendary, and we could continue that. We could open it up for everybody. I mean, there's a lot we could do. And I think those discussions will happen later in the process, and we don't need to necessarily make that determination now. It can be based more on the factors that exist at the time that we reach that end point. Holy moly, we have 676 people in Twitch chat. That's a lot of you. How am I doing? Did I get some sleep? Not much. I'm doing fine, though. We have no expected date for housing to open at this time. The answer to that question is we will open housing when, to the best of our ability, we feel that you are ready for us to open up housing. So the thing, one of the problems we've been struggling with regarding the availability of the transfer button is because of what I described, where essentially the moment that button is available, you're at max capacity in terms of outflow. You reach a point where leaving it open does not make things better. It makes things much, much, much worse. Because what happens then is instead of not getting in, you will be put into a place where you just have to sit, not knowing if it's ever going to work for a day or longer, right? Because it would never actually get to that point in the queue because the number is so high that it ain't ever going to get there, right? So, or it would eventually, but at a period of time that is not realistic for us to want you to be able to do it. And we're already beyond that, right? So the feathering of the button, the turning it off and on is to allow for the number of current transfers in the queue to process. And then once that, 100% outflow of transfers starts reaching the point that the number of requests are equal to the number of outflows, we can open up that button again and it'll, jam up like a wall again. And then we can just kind of let it further down like that. And so that process has been going on since Tuesday. And that's essentially what's been happening. There have been a few periods of time. There was one time where we had to take the game worlds down yesterday, and that did clear out the queue process. And that was because none of those queues were going to process anyway at that point. So we had to do it. But other than that, we've pretty much just been letting it be 100% outflow 100% of the time since we started offering transfers. I mean, you're not wrong, Ghost Hunter. It's a good problem to have, and that means that our demand is great, and we know that there's a lot of you interested. Obviously, it's not a good problem to have, in that it's not the pace that we wanted it to be. It's certainly not the pace you want it to be, and we're in a position where we want to get these worlds open, and we want you to be able to play on them. So. Yes, in about 10-15 minutes here, I'm going to end the stream early, and it's not because I don't have a lack of things I could talk about. It's because I need to get ready and do this final bit of work that we need to do to open up the game worlds, and I can't do that live on camera. I just have to get actual work done. So. Can I read out the question I am answering as it's scrolling past? I try to do that. I try to give context so that when I'm answering, you understand the question. I'm sorry if I failed at that today. I will try to keep that in mind. What will the login limit be for the new servers? How many people will be able to log in at once? I think we might find out here in about 39 minutes. But I could say in general we know that the 64-bit game worlds are quite a bit more robust than our 32-bit game worlds, and we've seen that experience with the initial login spike on Angmar and Mordor and the impact that had. And so even if we think, let's say, this one's going to be some level of bigger than that, fingers crossed, of course, we should be in an okay place. That's not to say you might not face a queue here in the next couple hours. That actually feels somewhat likely, but it'll hold a lot more people. Do we know the actual number of transfers with every transfer event? Yeah, we do have internal numbers as to how many people have transferred. That's not something I can provide, though. And there's a transfer event to you, but not in terms of the way that that is calculated, right? Because, like I said, it's only been on, really. So there's, by the measurement of how many people have transferred, there's been one event, which is start. From the end user, there's been a very different experience, which is I can't see the transfer button. But that doesn't mean that the transfer queue itself has not been processing. Quite the opposite. I'm not really interested. Ola Benny is asking me to sort of give a post-mortem as to what went wrong. That's not really something I want to do here today. Let's get things working, huh? And then start hating ourselves. All right. Tia Hena, I have been asked the following question about 80,000 times this week, which is, can I play on the account while it's transferring? What if I don't log into that server? What if I don't log into that character? Can I play? Is it going to kill my transfer? I don't know. I have no idea. What I can say is what normally the process is, which is that you'll hit the button, and 1 or 2 seconds later, you will pick your characters, hit the transfer button, and then within 2 to 5 seconds after that, your characters will transfer. Could you have theoretically logged in during those 5 seconds and played? I guess. But in practical experience, that would never happen. So now that we're in this position of the process being exposed in a much longer way, players have been hammering on it, trying to kind of brute force the ability to be successful with transfers in addition to playing at the game at the same time, and offering and asking me frequently to provide binding advice that they would go to CS if I gave them the wrong info, saying, at this moment, I've been sitting here for X hours with this thing. If I log into this character but not this character, can you promise that my transfer will succeed? And of course I can't do that, right? So my advice would be to rely on the community's advice as to, well, if you want to ignore the standard advice, can you get away with it? The answer is a maybe, and the community can offer you some level of advice on that. I have more chat than I can take care of. I have no idea what everyone is saying. I guess I'm going to have to treat myself like I actually am a big shot and ignore people's chat. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to ignore your questions. There's just more of it than I could ever possibly get to. Um, can we get new load screens? Yes. Load screens are something I would love to see us address. There's some sad technological realities of our load screen system that have proven a more comprehensive update to load screens somewhat difficult. I would say, Farone, that as much as you're saying that people on the West Coast were treated unfairly due to limited availability of the transfer button and the Europeans got it easy, I would suggest that I have heard from quite a few Europeans who would say quite the opposite. That they were the ones that got screwed and the people on the West Coast had it easy. So I think we can all agree that we have all had a rough time of it this week. Can we get an hourglass emote? So that conversation, we have focused on what needs to be focused on here. But since we have had literally all week long, we have in fact thought it's like, well, we have had probably hundreds of requests to bring this hourglass into the game. Can we do it? Why doesn't Locher have an hourglass? I don't know. That's a good question. Why doesn't Locher have an in-game hourglass? Not only would it look cool, but we have trivia events and concerts and countdowns and fashion shows, and we just did that. I was just part of that one fashion show, and you know how sweet like a minute hourglass countdown timer thing would be to have in game. Maybe we should, regardless of this. But if we have hundreds of people saying "Do it now," NAO exclamation point, maybe we should. I mean, it's a cool idea, just kind of in general. So maybe. I don't know. Costa asks, how long will it take to transfer everyone? We don't know that at this point. We know that the work that we did this week was able to improve transfer speed, as in the total number of transfers processed, by up to 50%. So we have been able to make significant gains this week in the total number of transfers that could process over a period of time. And what we're doing today could have further impact on that. So until we really know the results of that, it would be unwise to try to predict any sort of end timing. But the answer would be hopefully soon, as quickly as we can, and then we'll open up housing. The only deadline announced at this point for free transfers is through the end of August. And that's months and months away. And I have a feeling by the time August 29th happens, people will be pretty sick of hearing about character transfers. So I wouldn't. We could adjust it if we need to, but I guess it probably won't need to be. Before I call it a show, because like I said, I do have to actually take off here to do some work. But I did have a little bit of news that I wanted to get to before I call it. So when I'm looking at the calendar here, we are set for a small game update next Wednesday. That'll be update 43.1. At the moment, I don't really know what is in update 43.1 other than an issue with the new raid that got known issued this week. There's some kind of door issue. The door issue that caused us to shut down the hardtack event should get fixed in that game update. And then I think there's a little bit more work in ahead of the Spring Festival, which opens the following day. So next Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern, the Spring Festival kicks off with new rewards. And we included some of those new rewards in our release notes, but if I can call up my list here, this is what the full list. I don't have images yet. I don't have images I can share with you yet. The full list of new stuff from the Spring Festival. Cloak of Budding Spring, Hooded Cloak of Budding Spring, Sleeveless Dress of Budding Spring, Dress of Budding Spring, Long Sleeve Dress of Budding Spring, Tunic and Leggings, Garments, Gift Wrap Selection Box, Lily Pond and Fountain of Budding Spring, Purple Flowering Hedge, Red Flowering Hedge, Yellow Flowering Hedge, Forest Hedge, Tome of the Hedgehog, and Hair Parade. That one's for festivity tokens or mithril. The Goat of Budding Spring, which is spring tokens or mithril. And then Spring Festivity Barter, Tome of the Hedgehog, and Hair Parade Festivity. And so it'll be the festivity token barter. So that's pretty neat. And that'll be with the Spring Festival that is arriving next week. I would point out that if you want to get information on dating for our 64-bit servers, how long until, we are maintaining our main page on lotro.com with that information. So if you want to know when are we opening the Dark Worlds, because that's been pushed off as a result of this, and when are we going to start the 64-bit to 64-bit free transfer period for a little while, right? We're letting people go from Glamdring to Peregrine and Peregrine to Glamdring on a weekly rotating basis to basically correct mistakes and let you land where you want to be after you've had some time to think about it. That's set to start March 26th. And all that other information is going to be on lotro.com in terms of dating. I would say the Spring Festival continues through April 1st as well. I also want to call out that we have adjusted. This just came in yesterday afternoon. Copy is going out on this. I'll be announcing it on the forums and elsewhere shortly, which is that we are moving the date for the Leading the Charge deed for Temple of Utugabur. We're Leading the Charge deed will now be available to earn through May 20th. Through May 20th. Shut off at 3 a.m. Eastern on the 21st. So that'll be the Leading of the Charge deed for Temple of Utugabur, and that information will be out outside of this podcast here within the next couple of hours. I would quick point out that we know you wanted it last week. We couldn't get it done last week. We were able to get it done this week. We did put carry-alls on sale. That was a player request. So we have 35% off carry-alls through March 13th for those of you who are interested. We do have a 25% crafting XP boost going through Sunday as well. Also this week, on Tuesday, we released update 43.0.1. You can find the release notes for that over on lotro.com. And I think that is what I've got for info. Let me take 1 or 2 more minutes to answer questions, and then I'm going to call it a show. Don't forget advertising the Discord to Twitch. Yes, sure. Let me just say, the Discord has been hopping. The forums too, but the Discord has been hopping throughout this transfer period. And so if you want to join the official Lotro Discord, we've got a link to it over on our website. And also, I could drop a link here. Let me do that. Oh, actually, because I'm in streamer mode, I can't. Okay, well. Fine, I won't then. All right. Couple more comments from Twitch chat. I have no idea what you're asking, TTV. Discord Elf and High Elf channel got locked. Are the changes to them done? Thanodeer asks. This is related to a Discord question. We have had a bunch of player requests saying, hey, can you stop people from posting in the Bull Roar threads? Bull Roar is done. And the community's like, well, if we're going to talk about the raid, can we talk about the raid in the live channels rather than the preview channels? Because we haven't had a preview. The preview period for Update 43 is done because Update 43 is out. So can we please, just like we would other Bull Roar threads, can we shut it down until the next preview? And so we did. And that's all that is. So plenty of places elsewhere to talk about the live game and the live game channels. All right. Call it a show. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. And we got about 23 minutes or so before the new 64-bit Game World's open. So I'm going to head on out so I can do my part to get the word out about everything that needs to happen here. Thank you so much for being here. Good luck here in the next couple of hours, and do stay tuned on the forums and the Discord. We'll have information when transfers are available. We will have a lot of information going out today and potentially even through the weekend related to transfers. Stay tuned and we'll get it to you in our Discord and on the forums and on social media too. But forums and Discord are the two fastest, most efficient ways to get this stuff in the coming days. So thank you everyone for being here, and thank you everyone on Twitch as well. I know that we've had a lot of live streamers doing their thing, and you can find our full schedule over on twitch.tv/LotraStream. Have fun. Thanks so much. Talk to you soon.